Okay. Madam Clerk, if we give you a roll, please.
Thank you. Commissioner Marchand, Solomon. Commissioner Ariola is running a few minutes late, and he is not here right now. Ding. Fugazi.
Present.
Morowitz.
Present.
Vice Chair Zuber.
Here.
Chair Craig Hensley.
Here.
Thank you. Ex officio members, do we have anyone on from Stancock? I do see Mayor Dwalin in the participants. I am promoting now. SJCOG. SJRTD.
Ken Baxter, present.
Thank you. Caltex. All right. We do have
Excuse me, I'm here. This is Suze Wallen, Mayor of Modesto, representing Stancock. I just was not in as a panelist till now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome to everyone. And at this point in time, do we have any members of the public that would like to make some comments on non-agenda items? I will go first online.
Seeing none online.
None. And in the room, is there anyone here that would like to make a comment?
Yes,
Perhaps, but we're all here for.
we do have one public
Oh, we
comment
do.
card.
I'm sorry.
but
I'm not used to public comment. Okay, I apologize because Mr. Markon is here, so I'm thrilled to have you join us in person. I don't think we've ever met, sir, just over online. So glad to have you with us and glad to hear what you have to say. So thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Michael Barnbaum of Sacramento County. I'd like to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to join you today. Per this collective bargaining agreement at the company I worked for, we get our birthday off, so I was assigned to come here rather than doing my regular duties that I do in Sacramento between 8 and 4. So I wanted to take the opportunity to come here to promote and advocate for expansion of the representation on the Rail Commission Board of Directors, Board of Commissioners. With Valley Rail being an important capital and operating project for the Rail Commission, I would like to use the model you've developed in San Joaquin County to help expand this governing body into Sacramento County. What I would like to see for the greater good of the greater Sacramento County wide area is one voting member, Darren Suen, for the city of Elk Grove, as his district includes the Elk Grove station, and alternate mayor Bobby Singh. For the city of Sacramento and the Midtown station, and that district is represented currently by council member Phil Pluckybaum. He would be a great representative for the board for where that station is. And the alternate would be Mayor Kevin McCarty representing the entire city. For the county station up in Rio Linda and Natomas, with the shuttle to the airport, currently the supervisor in that district is Phil Cerna. But since counties don't have mayors, I would recommend that the alternate be the county executive, serving in place of there actually being a mayor in the county. But also you need some ex officio and non-voting members, similar to what you have in San Joaquin County. So for those that, when it comes to ex officio updates, I'd recommend that the board include a staff member from SACOG, Sacramento Area Council of Governments, SACRTD, Sacramento Regional Transit District, STA, the Sacramento Transportation Authority, which oversees the expenditure of Measure A dollars in Sacramento County, as that is a self-help county, and perhaps an ex officio member of the Los Rios Community College District, as phase 2 of expansion of the Valley Rail service will include a new station and upgrades to safety, security, and facilities at Sacramento City College. So I hope that that kind of gives a little bit of perspective of what to look for when expanding service on the board for Sacramento County, and hope it develops a good parallel to what you have currently in the model for San Joaquin County existing today. I'm here and available for any questions you may have, and will be up to speak later on item number 10 when you get to that item. Thank you.
Ms. Brumbaum, that's something we'll pursue with staff, so thank you, appreciate your.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Seeing no other general public comment, I will close the public comment component of the agenda for today and move on to our consent calendar. On the consent calendar, I'd like actually to put items 4.2 and 4.5 for just information and acknowledgement. With that said, are there any other items on the consent calendar any of the commission members would like to pull, or excusing that, I'll take a motion for move to approve. Thank you. A second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Thank you, Commissioners Fugazi,
Yes.
Morowitz,
Yes.
Vice Chair Zuber,
Yes.
Chair Craig Hensley.
Yes.
Thank you, motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, on item 4.2, I just want to take this opportunity to, because we just can't let these major changes pass without any acknowledgement, okay? So David, I just want to take the opportunity here to share with you that we all know, we've been through this discussion before, that we very much respect the role you're taking up and stepping up at a time when we need continued effective leadership. Stacy has some, well, small shoes, but big shoes when it comes to experience to fill. But we very much value the fact that you're taking on that responsibility. And just, do you have a couple words, if you might actually, I'll put you on the spot, I love doing that. If you have a few words to say about your upcoming role and what you're looking forward to, and we'll get to that next item that I.
Sure. Well, thank you so much, Chair and Commissioners, for just the acknowledgement. I mean, I'm certainly excited for the opportunity to continue the great work that Stacy has started here at the Commission. I see it as my mission and goal to sort of keep the staff and keep the vision and mission of the agency moving in the direction that you have set forward as the board. And we have a lot of exciting things to work on here at the Commission, the A service, the San Joaquin's service, and beyond. And all of that really does take not just an executive director, as Stacey would acknowledge, but a whole team of people who are really working all together, and looking forward to leading that team, and then you seeing sort of the work of the entire team over the course of the next several months as you work through the recruitment of the CEO. But thank you so much for your confidence.
Well, thank you again, and I know you have the confidence of this commission, but also the confidence of staff, and that means a lot. So, does anybody else have any comments they want to make on 4.2 to Mr. Bakari, since we have a long list now? If not, I would say, actually, Stacy, if I can have you just stand up for a minute or two. You're getting tired of this right now. But there are not a lot of people that would step out of a longtime executive director role and say, I'm willing to contribute another couple of months to this effort and help. I mean, it is something sometimes when you approach retirement, you're just like, I'm out of here. All right. I mean, I got other things I need to do with my life, and I need to let them know that there's separation, a strong separation. I appreciate that you have provided us that flex space so that David, very much so, and the staff know that they've got you there on special projects as needed. But even more importantly, that we do, because I think Leo and I have the longest tenure right now, but that's not very long for me. I mean, it's only been 3 years on this body, and we really value your advice and guidance to us on special projects as much as the staff. And David will look to you for that institutional knowledge and some of those contacts. And I know you've been doing that anyway at this point. But thank you for making that commitment to stay through the end of the year. And just wanted to acknowledge that you will have a continuing role in a different capacity, but still an essential one. So thank you.
Thank you.
You don't plan on changing your number? The email's the same and everything. The phone number, I mean, we can get in touch with hers. So, with that, unless anybody has anything else to say, I will entertain a motion on 4.2 and on 4.5.
So moved.
Second. Moved and seconded, can I get a vote, please?
Thank you. Before we take a vote, do we have any,
Oh, I'm sorry, public comment on the consent calendar. Yes.
seeing none online?
All right, any in the room?
None.
Okay, all right.
Thank
Now.
Thank you. Commissioners Ariola,
Yes.
Fugazi,
Yes.
Morowitz,
Yes.
Vice Chair Zuber,
Yes.
Chair Craig Hensley.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. So moving on to item 5, Rail Safety Month presentation. Mr. Powell.
All righty. Morning, Commissioners. My name is Cameron Polaire, Safety Security Specialist. I'm here to present our Rail Safety Initiative for 2025. All right, so this year, the Rail Commission enhanced the rail safety by collaborating with the Stockton Police Department, California Highway Patrol, and the California Operation Lifesaver through an event called Officer on the Train. So during this initiative, officers had a unique opportunity to observe the train operations firsthand and the locomotive and the passenger cars, gaining an in-depth understanding of the complexities involved in daily rail operations. The officers actively engaged with the train crews, asking detailed questions on various topics, including signaling systems, emergency procedures, decision-making processes during operations. They also explored several vital issues, such as how to safely stop a train in an emergency, how to properly use the ENS sign, and how to address homelessness near the tracks. Additionally, they conducted an in-depth review of the fair enforcement strategies that we have, our new signal forming program, and special event trains like the 49er games and the upcoming Super Bowl. This immersed hands-on experience significantly enhanced the officers' technical knowledge and provided them with valuable practical insights on real-world framework for the road. As a result, they are now more effectively prepared to promote rail safety and response to incidents for the train communities. All right, so following the onboard event, the group returned to the Cabral station for an Operation Lifesaver Rail Safety presentation. This presentation also highlighted how to use the emergency notification system and how to contact the railroad for emergencies. In addition, the Rail Commission also hosted a Red Out for Rail Safety Day, where the staff wore red to symbolize their commitment to rail safety. The event concluded with a group photo wearing red, creating a powerful and visual reminder of our shared mission to promote railroad safety. All right, in our ongoing commitment to rail safety, we're pleased to announce that this year, the Rail Commission has collaborated with the California Operation Lifesaver to develop a co-branded rail safety poster. These informative posters will be prominently displayed on board our trains, platforms, lobbies to help raise awareness and educate the public on essential rail safety practices. All right, so here are some of the photos from the event. And I'll start with a quote from the Stockton Police Department. So, the officers from the Strategic Community Unit were grateful for the opportunity to work alongside the ACE and the SJRRC to address the issues alongside the tracks. This was a great opportunity to see the areas that were affected by transit activity that the SCOs do not usually see on a regular patrolling basis. The SCOs also appreciated the hospitality from the ACE staff and look forward to helping reduce death and injuries alongside the rail corridors. I also have a small quote from CHP. It was an awesome experience to ride in the locomotive. It was great. It was great. So in closing, I want to extend my sincere thanks to the Stockton Police Department, Strategic Operation Unit, the California Highway Patrol for their partnership in this important event. Their commitment and collaboration strengthens our collective efforts to enhance safety. And together, we can continue minimizing occurrences on the railroad and protect the communities we serve. That is our Rail Safety Month initiative for 2025. Thank you, guys.
Is there any comment on?
Seeing none online?
Okay, any comment in the room here? Okay, I just have 1 or 2 questions I wanted to ask on the CSOs going along on the ride. Were all jurisdictions invited?
So we did invite, we were gonna do, we did the before the hill, right? We want to do Stockton, Lathrop, Tracy. We did reach out to all jurisdictions. Tracy and Lathrop did plan to show up, but they had a last minute change, so they weren't able to show up.
Okay.
But we plan to extend past Rail Safety Month. The next objective is going over the hill to get all the other jurisdictions. The difference is, in this one, it was a little bit harder for us to try to swap officers out because it was the head end or the locomotive. So they had to crawl on the side to get up. But if we do a reverse commute, we can have officers in the cab car and easily swap them out at each station. So the ultimate goal is to do that. And I plan to reach out. We're going to shoot for sometime in October, this month and next month, to get the over the hill portion of that. But the ultimate goal is to do a full ride where we have a whole setup where they can swap in and out. We can talk about different areas. I can map out, okay, this corridor right here is where we need your assistance for this area and jurisdictions. So that is the ultimate goal. And also just collaborating on what the best practices that this city's doing to handle any issues that they're dealing with along the railroad.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the fact, and I certainly can make the request that our Lodi PD take the advantage of that opportunity.
Okay.
And I think that coming from us as elected officials through our city manager will be a valuable input to it. But the safety issue is critical, and I think we're all dealing with it. In terms of some of the encampments, we've had a number of transients that have actually been hit by trains, and so there may be some type of additional training or information that can be provided that would address those ongoing concerns. And I know UP has strategies for how to try to clear or prevent encampments.
Yes.
So I don't know if they're part of
Yes,
this. Okay.
very much so. I'm working closely with UP, BNSF, any jurisdictions out there. We're all collectively trying to come together. I mean, you see the work that they try to do. If you guys go past the road, you see the ties that they put up
Yeah.
to prevent areas, right? A lot of different things and strategies that they're working on. We're part of a homelessness strike force team for District 10 here with Caltrain. So everyone gets together once a week and we talk about what's coming up, what cleanouts, what areas. Lodi is part of that as well. And really just what we all can do. I mean, it's a shared issue that we're dealing with along the railroad, especially near the right of way, whether transient or not. The issue is, right, it's a ripple effect. Transient gets a trespasser strike, now delays the trains, and that train traffic backs it all the way up.
Yeah.
You know, not just to say that the trespasser strike already is detrimental, right? But then that ripple effect does affect all the communities surrounding, so.
Yeah, and I think what we've noticed is when, as effective as Caltrans has been in clearing out the areas along overpasses and so forth, they're now moving
Yep.
to
our area.
areas of the rail. Yeah, so it's becoming a bigger issue.
Yeah.
I appreciate that you're being proactive in this, because I think it's really essential to have all of those partners working effectively together. So any other comments, questions from the commission? Yes.
So I appreciated also, this presentation, but the fact that we have representation from ACE who met with Stockton PD at the SEB building, I don't know, 5 months, 6 months ago. Tamika was there, just working collaboratively because we know, that there are people that are trespassing, that are living there, that are burning fires there, that are getting killed there, especially north of Hammer Lane.
Oh, yeah.
Albany, I mean, that is a chronic place, and so, just that we have the tools necessary to like go out there and cite and remove and
Yes.
whatever we need to do, because we know the impact, not only to the surrounding neighborhood, but to stopping rail.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So whatever we can do to continue on that effort, because we get calls regularly. And I don't wanna kick the can at all, and actually, some of our staff in the city manager's office, when I told them about our meeting and that this was something that we were working on, they were like, we didn't know anything about that, and I was like. Okay, well, as long, and I saw Sergeant High on there, and Sergeant High is phenomenal.
One of my main
You
assets,
need
yeah.
anything, he's the guy to call, and he will dispatch whoever needs to go out there.
Yeah.
But I think that this is something we need to be very intentional on, consistent on, and maybe hopefully people get the message.
Oh, yeah.
Because it is a issue that's not going away
Yeah.
unless we are attacking it every chance we get.
Yeah, and when we go, we have strategies. We bring out resource groups. We offer what areas they can go to, right? We do try to do that portion of it, and And some do take advantage of it, but most don't, and we're starting to see a trend. It's kind of the same people that kind of move here, move here, move here, move here. So unfortunately, really what is essentially working is just to make it is not as easy for them to get in, right? Consistently patrolling the areas, fixing the areas, clearing them out, and then finding the resources. You know, we work with the sheriffs right now. They've been the #1 team that's coming out. They bring, it's called Honor Farm, right? They bring inmates out, they bring compactor trucks. Unfortunately, their whole fleet is down, and it's the same fleet that Sergeant High uses. So we're having to pivot to find a different agency that can handle that. I'm actually, after the board meeting, I'm going to get quotes right after this. So, but it's, you know, the areas that we do clean out, if you're not consistent, they'll move right back in. You know, and not just Band-Aid fixes. We're looking at getting 24/7 patrol, getting the fences fixed, and just being a presence out there, you know, and if we do that and then get all the community involved for them to also do that, I think it'd be a good push to at least get a step forward in that right direction. Because right now it's 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, or 1 step forward, 2 steps back. So
And I think you're right in the fact that, it's kind of like leapfrog. They're here and then they move over here and then they move back, but, hearing that, 24/7 patrol, I don't know if you got a blast, classical music.
we've thought about that. It has been thought about. We've seen examples of people doing that.
But League of California Cities many years ago, I mean, technology has improved so much, but having cameras up where you're actually able to say, the police have been dispatched, they are 5 minutes out, you better remove,
Yep.
move.
Yeah.
Or face arrest, because so many trespassings.
Yeah.
Well, for us, the second trespass, that's an arrest.
Yes.
In the city of Stockton.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know what it is if Rail is its own jurisdiction, but whatever we need to do to be on the same page.
Sure.
And let people know that this behavior will not be tolerated.
100%.
And just to follow up, I think actually a good contact to make, I know in our city, we have a homelessness committee that meets monthly and all the key organization service providers are there. If they don't know about this, then they're not telling their clients about this. And I think it might be important to reach out to all the jurisdictions to find out, can we come and meet and explain to all of your individuals what our safety protocol is and who we're working with and how you can be a resource and we can be a resource back and forth. So I would suggest that. I can't remember, I think it's a third Thursday of every month our homelessness committee meets, but that might be a good audience to share this information. They're always looking for people to come and provide additional information. So just, that's probably true with Trace is talking about stuff. So thank you for that. Any other comments from commissioners? Seeing none, thank you very much. This was informational, so we have no action to take on. Thank you, commissioners. All right, item 6, discuss direction of staff regarding the new ACE ticketing platform. So, Mr. Perez.
All right, thank you, Chair. Morning, Commissioners. So kind of give a quick background on how we got to this item today. A couple of years ago, staff started the ACE new ticketing platform project. We had brought on a consultant to kind of help us do an RFI and RFP to kind of gather as much information internally and externally to be able to perform this project and hopefully have a successful launch is what we're going for. And so, but the driving force behind that was the mechanical validators. And so when the system first started, each station had 3 or 4 of these mechanical validators that the passengers would go up, validate your ticket with the date and time on it. As the system has, and been used constantly, and as time has gone on, we kind of have 1 or 2 validators now at the stations. And so that was really a driving factor behind this project. And so we also have a mobile app, which was launched in 2019 that did help alleviate a lot of the ticketed use with the paper tickets. We saw about a 60% adoption rate on that, which is really good. And so launching this new project, we had 2 phases to this. One of it was phase 1, which was the mobile app. And phase 2, which is going to be what we're talking about today, is the point of sale system, which we're looking to launch in December 2025. The exciting thing about this project is it's going to unify the information we get from both of those systems. David has talked about this in the past with both the systems, they don't talk to each other, right? We have our mobile app system, and then we also have our point of sale system, which is just paper tickets, which is a very manual process. The data comes back, we have to manually enter into a spreadsheet, and then we have to bring the 2 pieces of data together. And so the mobile app, we're able to, it's an account based, so we can help passengers, we can get their information, see their activity, where a paper ticket, it's kind of like they provide like a receipt or something to help us prove that they purchased the ticket, not much customer information on them. And so one thing I did want to bring up is the special training. So we did bring this back in 2023. When we brought it back in 2023, the only way to purchase your ticket was through the mobile app. And so again, because of the paper ticket manual, if we were to bring a paper ticket option, you have to create a ticket, just of the staff and administrative work to be able to do something like that. So we brought it through the mobile app channel. It does really well. As you can tell, back in 2023, we just were starting marketing the special trains, right? A lot of people, even today, will say they didn't know, we have 49er train. So bringing it back, you can tell that the adoption's been good. A lot of, and the ridership has kept increasing from year over year over year. And this year, really good numbers this year with purchases on the mobile app. And so kind of background on our tickets today, right? So these are our paper tickets today. We are not a stored value system where a lot of the transit out there today is a stored value. You buy one card, you top up, right? And then when you tap and ride, it deducts the ride on what you did, the value. And when you get down to zero, close to, you top up again. You buy your ticket today and then you use it, right? And it expires on the usage. So one way you validate it, it's used, right? You have to buy a new runway. We have two types, right? Adult and discount passes. And we have 170 types of tickets, right? So it's a lot of tickets. And no one state, that really limits the station. You can only buy that station's tickets, right? Because we don't want to give more tickets to that seller and the exposure. So it's a lot of ticket types. My ticketing team does a great job accounting for all those. We got those stored away in the vault. And so it's a lot of paper, right? And there's only one really vendor who can help supply us with this paper as well, and these ticket types for the validator to be able to fit in there perfectly, to just all the components of that, to scan the date on it, right? Like it's very intense. So we offer one-way round trips, 10 trips, and 20 trips, and then obviously monthlies. The monthlies expire at the end of the month, but the one-ways, round trips, 10 trips, and 20 trips, they don't really expire until usage or until the next fare increase. So people can be sitting on tickets. We have ticket upgrades come in all the time. From the prior, they just find it, right? They find a one way and they send it in. And because they don't expire, we still work with the passenger to help give them an update. And then that is a lot of the feedback we get from passengers. We're like, well, why does the mobile app expire? And you don't expire, we're not able to unify it. To be able to make these paper tickets expire, it's really hard, right? To ask us ticket seller, right? The date they sold it, right? And staff to be looking at that. So with this new system, we'll be able to unify the systems and make these limited use medias that print. And I'll show you have an expiration date, and they're all unified. So kind of here's a picture of the new system that we're going to be putting in. This is the point of sale. So again, today, staff has you go up to purchase a ticket, staff has their allotment, right? You buy one way, they would pull it, hand you the ticket, process the transaction. If it's credit card, they have to manually type in the amount, process the credit card transaction, they hand you the ticket. You go up and it's a one-way through a 20 trip. You go up and use the mechanical validator, validate. It prints the date and time for our staff, and they're able to visually inspect you on the train and to see based off that, or they have to look at the print to make sure you're valid. In the new system, there is no more ticket allotments, right? All those 170 tickets, all those are gone. We're going to do an on-demand printing. And they look like, I guess the best way to describe it is they look like when you win a lot out of a carnival game and they all print out like that. They get fed in like that, and then they'll get print out one-on-one. So I do have some to share, which is, yes, I can have them.
You could give me
All
a
right.
lecture. They sent me a
Yeah.
Is that a lifetime pass?
So with the new system, yeah, that's my smart package.
I know you know people.
So with the new system, it's just one ticket type, right? It fits in my sleeve, or you saw on the array of tickets, they all have different sizes, different thing. People love to have their little passes, but one ways round trip doesn't fit this, so they all fit in the sleeve. It'll print on demand. So you come up in any ticket type, right? You can come to Stockton and say, hey, well, I'm gonna be in Lathrop is where I usually ride, but I'm in Stockton today. We have that a lot. They want to buy a ticket, right? They could print that ticket today for that station for them to board the next day. Any ticket type they want can be printed at any station. It'll print that ticket on demand. So on those that you can't see, if you held it up to a light, there's a little RFD, a little radio frequency inside of those. It encodes the ticket with all the information, the one ways, the trips, the count type, all that stuff is in that code. And so when the passenger goes on board, instead of having to go find a mechanical validator or stand in the line or run, because a lot of them wait for the train, they gotta run, they're able just to go on board. And staff will now have an electronic handheld device on board staff, and they're gonna walk around. And when they scan your ticket, if it's a multi-ride, it'll take that right away on the back end. And again, it has a delay. This is a lot of questions that come. If they were to scan you again, then they didn't recognize you, they scanned you again, it's not gonna take it right away. There's a 3-hour delay where it'll just register your first withdrawal and that's it. Another cool thing is they can go, it's account based, so they'll be able to go online and check how many rides they have left based off their tickets. And so they know when, again, the dark game like that, they can look, they can even check at the station too, they can scan it and staff can tell them, hey, you have 10 rides left on that ticket. And again, they all have an expiration. And then the cool thing with those tickets too, that we couldn't do is we have a discount passes, but we have a lot of qualifications for those, right? But onboard staff, when they're checking, they just see discounts. So they don't really know what they're checking for, right? Or we don't know if somebody stole a ticket or found a discount one right from a senior or something and they're using it. It's hard for staff to identify those. This prints it out on the back. And so it'll help staff identify those as well, to just ask what identification they're asking for to approve their discount. So the college will print on there as well and things like that. And so how do we get here today? Or not how to get here, but why are we here today, right? So this is important, right? Again, it's for the passengers, right? We're asking the passengers to go from a system that they've done for 25 plus years, right? Of going the exact, what I told you, they go to the station, they buy their ticket and they get on board, right? We're asking them to change something, which is their everyday kind of what they're used to, right? And we're asking them to do something different. And this is a big change for this system, right? Going from our legacy paper tickets to something new. The mobile app, when we brought it on, it was great, got a lot of great reception. And then switching over to another mobile app, same functions, right? You buy your ticket online, you activate it, same function. This one, I just told you the two big differences, right? There's no more mechanical validators. There's no more, we're asking you to go, trust us to go to a scanning system, and there's no more of all those scanning or anything like that. So it's different. So when we came up with the two options we brought today, we took in a lot of considerations, right? Peer approaches, who has done this in the past, right? Who has gone from a paper ticket system recently, not like 20 years ago, right? Or 10 years ago, who has recently gone from a paper ticket system. How did they handle it? What issues did they run into, right? Because we don't want to replicate that. Obviously, the life of the mechanical validators, how long can we keep these things going, right? So that was playing into these factors. Obviously, on staff here, customer service taking staff, a simple message, right? We don't, how much burden them getting calls, right? Even just with the mobile app, it was a change, just with calls on it, right? Just how do I do this or how do I do that? So making that a simple information, onboard staff, how much to make their life easier as well. Looking at two different ticket types for a while. And then obviously the clear messaging, right? I think the goal, and I'll show you some of the peer approaches that we want to come from this decision today, or where we go, is we don't want to have to go back on what we said, right? There's an example I'll give you where they said, okay, it goes for this. And then they kind of didn't get very good public reception. They had to come back and say, okay, now we're going to extend it to this. It's just a lot of messaging, right? That externally and internally just causes confusion. And we just want to make sure it's a clear, straightforward message on this is what we're doing and we're sticking to it. And then obviously, I'm hopefully in the future bring you a possible fare increase in middle of July, and how that is, that was taken into consideration as well. And one of the things that's exciting is on this fare program and all being on one unification is any ticket or anything built on the back end goes to both the mobile app and the paper ticket. Whereas today, when we did the last fare increase, the mobile app, we had to gauge that and make sure that was ready to go on the date. And then we had to print all these paper tickets to make sure they matched it, right? So it'll all push it out on the back end of the same system, and it'll be a better transition for that. So here are a couple of the peer approaches we looked at. One of them was New Jersey Transit. They did, similar to us, they had paper tickets that did not expire. They came out with it and they kind of essentially said, we're going to give us 6 months to expire. A couple of the tickets though that didn't have any expiration, they give them a 30-day. They said those are going to expire in 30 days. That got a lot of pushback, right? People who are used to something not expiring, you're telling them this expires in 30 days. They got a lot of pushback, did not go over well. So we definitely want to make that clear. And then what they ended up doing was extending it another 3 months, right? And so then that caused confusion. They extended how those, and then they ended up having to do a refund program, and so you brought something new on, right, to adjust to the public feedback because people were not happy with how it was delivered. And so then they currently do a refund process, and there's not even an exchange process. It's just can turn them in and get a refund. And then Edmonton Transit, our project manager for our existing vendor works on this project as well. And so they did stop selling legacy paper tickets in November 2024, and then they ended up extending it for this whole fiscal year for those usage, and that kind of will be similar to something happened Tuesday. And so kind of here were the two staff, again, took all into consideration. These are kind of the two ideas that we came up with. The first one is an extended expiration with no exchange. And then the second one would be a limited expiration extension and with a little exchange program, but those tickets will have an extended use of expiration. I'll kind of explain what that means. So the first one we're proposing is, wherever the new system launches, right? All existing paper tickets that's out there in the world that people have, they can use those up till December 31st, 2026, right? Keep validating whatever you need to do, you can use those tickets. But after December 31st, 2026, there's no exchanges, right? User, we feel that that's in 12 months. If someone has 12 months of tickets on stock, no, but if you did, right, we feel like we're giving you 12 months to use those, ample amount of time to be able to use all those tickets. And then, and again, we identify that as a good amount of time that we feel like the public would receive that, right? We told you had a year to use them, right? So that's a long amount of time. It's saying 18 or 2 years, something. I think 12 months is a very good amount of time to do that. And so with this option, we kind of get with some pros and cons. And obviously, one of the pros is internal staff, right? No exchange program, right? No trying to create a form, making you fill something out, bring it into the station. Simple messaging, right? No, don't have to do burden the staff. Again, eliminates the exchange. And then the customers doesn't really affect them too much either, right? It's like you bought your stock, you had it, now just go through and use your stock. And then when you're out, come on to the new system. One of the cons though, right, is our friends, the mechanical validators. How long can they do that, right? But once we switch over to this system, we'll stop selling paper and also that'll help alleviate some of the stress on the mechanical validators. And like I said, we already have a 60% adoption rate on the mobile app. So we know a lot of the paper tickets aren't as many out there floating around. And then obviously the other con is customers may just have more, right? And so we may get customers who say, well, I still have 10 tickets left and you're not, how do I handle this? And so the next option is, okay. So option number 2 is doing a limited expiration extension. So for this, we would say you can use your ticket up to March 31st, 2026. But in the meantime, you can exchange, if you're not going to be able to use all those passes within that timeline, we can exchange your tickets to the new program. But we'll give you tickets that have a longer expiration date, right? Because we know people are going to turn in a bunch of tickets, so we want the incentive is to ride the train. The incentive is to not use your tickets or anything. So we want to give them tickets that are maybe have a longer extension than what we sell today. So like I said, the 10 trips expire, one-way round trips will expire in 7 days, 10 trips in 60 days, and 20 trips in 90 days. We would do something to where we would make them longer for those people exchanging, right? So if someone brought us 10, 20 trips, we know you couldn't use 10 of those 20 trips in 90 days, we would make a new ticket that allows it to be for 180 days, right? Or whatever we decide to do so they can encourage them to ride the system and use those tickets. And so kind of the pros and cons of those, right? Pro, fastest way to retire the mechanical validators, right? They'd only be out there for 3 months, and on April 1st, we pull them all off the shelf, right? It simplifies the range of fare media on board for staff sooner, right? Because when the first option, that has to remember paper tickets for a whole year. This way, it's only about 3 months, right? And then it gets people to the new system quicker, right? By April 1st, we know everyone is on the new system. But obviously, some of the cons are, the limited time. We pretty much know 3 months is pretty short, right? And I mean, people are going to have a lot more that they could use. So that just means we know we're going to have a lot of exchanges that we're going to have to process. So that puts a lot more burden on staff. And then we also have to create a new ticket type within the system, right? A new ticket to help suffice those ones with extended use. So staff has to then issue them this extended special ticket rather than normal ticket. And then there's just multiple phases of communication, right? Where the first one was just a simple use your ticket till the end of 2016 or 2026. This one is like, okay, you can use your ticket till May 31st, but you also, or March 31st, but then you can exchange your ticket in and things, just more phases of layering to the messaging on what we want passengers to do. And so this is just a quick summary, right? Are we extending the paper tickets for both options? Yes. Option 1, it'll be to the calendar year 2026. Option 2, Q1 2026. for how long. Option two, you would, we'd offer an exchange program, and we'd offer that exchange program for about 6 months. And then for the mechanical validators, how long do they have to keep working for us, right? And the option one until January 1st, 2027. Option two, end of Q1, 2026. That. And then kind of here it is in a timeline approach, right? Just a nice what we would do, where we would do it, kind of threw in what we would propose to do a fare increase there as well. And so one of the options would be pass the fare increase, still normal today. You get to use it after the fare increase, use your ticket. And the other one would be before, hopefully everyone gets your tickets exchanged before, and then everyone's on the new system and we do a fare increase. And so again, essentially both systems will, or both options will get us to what we adopted back in March 7th, which puts expiration dates on all the tickets. It'll end the paper tickets, right? It'll also unify both station sales and mobile app sales. And it'll allow us to retire those beautiful flags right there in the picture. And so yeah, so with that, open it up to discussion and kind of get your feedback input today. And from that, we'll be able to bring back a kind of an actual item.
Any comments online from public?
Seeing none online?
Any comments from our audience here today? Seeing none?
None.
So then open it up to commission members for any questions or comments for Mr. Perez. Yes, if you like.
Yes, so, having been one of the people who had the big lanyard with the whole ticket, and, you know, and then I'd have it out and sleep and they could see that I did it. But you mentioned how, you know, people are rushing sometimes to get onto the train.
Yeah.
And the validators, you know, being able to validate before you get on there sometimes is difficult to do. So on the train, is there any opportunity on the train itself to scan?
So now staff will actually be your validator. So staff will walk the trains and they'll be scanning those tickets, the lump tickets, correct?
Okay, cause this is, when is this dispensed?
At the time of purchase.
At the time of purchase?
Yes.
Okay. And then, I was going to say too, you know, expiration. Groupon, how many people have ever used Groupon?
Oh my God.
So Groupon, the promotional period, you know, expires, but that amount still stays there. And what I think of is how I have almost a dozen BART tickets that still have money on them that I have in a little envelope in a drawer. I haven't been on BART in probably 6 or 7 years. But I'm still holding on to them because I'm like, ooh, but they still have money on them.
Yeah.
I won't throw them away.
Yeah.
So I feel for people, because if they're like me, like I paid for that, I still want my money
Yeah.
out of that. So I'm having kind of this conflict because, you know, option one seems reasonable enough, but option two, knowing that there's an extended expiration for that, which I don't know if we said exactly what it was, because I looked at the two little pieces, but I'm thinking it would go even then further or no?
It was gonna be sorry, there was a star there. It would be the calendar year 2026 as well.
Okay.
For the limited use, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, well, yeah, and what was the feedback? Did we put this out for feedback to our ridership?
No, we kind of just came up with, no, based on, like I said, what we
Okay.
use from just other peer examples and things like that, we kind of decided to come up with a decision. I know a lot, like, again, a lot of the fear was when we first announced this project is everyone thought we're pushing everyone to the mobile app. So, like you said, the people who like the family like to sleep, they're just, what, I don't want to, no, we're gonna give everyone the option to go to that pass and they can put it in, sleep, and they would just get scanned by onboard staff. So, no, I mean, again, we try to do, when we came up with the system, to try to do is, you know, it's a big jump, try to keep it as similar to what they are today, right? We're giving you something, it's not paper, but it kind of is, but right, it gives you that option to have a pass and get to sleep, so, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other additional questions? I just have a couple.
Yeah.
So as I told David earlier, smart card, okay, I mean, I used it in the metro system for the past 20 years. I still have some, every time we do one voice, I take my little smart card, okay? So they do work, again, they don't expire. One of the things I actually thought of though was, the smart cards are more like plastic, they're more durable.
Yeah.
And you can reload them
Correct.
all the time and use the same card, so you're not having to, you know, print tickets. And I think back to your lanyard and, you know, sticking in a slot's great and it might be fine, but cost wise, I would be curious to know, because a lot of my questions are related to some of the costs, which I'm anticipating that when you come back with this, we'll have more information.
Yeah.
But, you know, the thinking about the durability of a harder ticket, and versus a paper ticket and or a card, how that would factor in long term. Also, I want to know what the costs currently are. So we click option A, we're having those validators extend a much longer period of time. So what have been our maintenance costs on that, so that we know what that is if we decided to go with the longer period of time? We know, obviously, as you stated, there's extra staff time required to deal with the paper tickets, to deal with the extensions of paper tickets. So if we have a general idea of that, and then, you know, like I said, what the material costs are of the program, that kind of helps give me a little more information about whether I would say option 1 and 2. I mean, at this point in time, I'm kind of leaning towards the option 1 to give that extra time, although I think in New Jersey, it's a much larger transit system with many riders. So, you know, does it have to be a year? Does it make more sense for a 9-month? May a 6-month work? Because I mean, I can't believe we have people that have pre-purchased and have, you know, 10, 20 trip tickets they buy in that volume. And I just said, you know, that's a lot of tickets to buy unless you're getting a discount for that.
Well, that's the thing, there is a commuter, used to be called wage works or,
Yeah, so now they're.
so there is an incentive program.
Okay, that's.
And people are able to kind of stockpile, because if they have a transit benefit, they want to take it even if they're not using it, so they're able to kind of stockpile over time. Generally, most of the riders transition just fine. It's usually the ones that come up that have done that have a stockpile, or someone that might have been reassigned overseas. And then they come back and they're sitting on this, and they want to turn it in, like your art card. But I mean, typically, the majority of the passengers make that transition just fine.
Yeah. And I mean.
But we will have anomalies, right?
Yeah.
And our ticketing staff will get those phone calls.
No, Christine will come in with that.
Yeah. You know, I think about stamps when they
Hey,
came out,
Martha,
the
yes,
forever
every-
stamp, like I had forever stamps that were, you know, sub 50 cents. You know, but I stockpiled on those when they went up like by 5 cents, I said, oh, I gotta go buy a whole bunch of them. So, yeah. But I still have rolls.
Yeah. The other question is, when would we start promoting the program to our riders?
Yeah, as soon as this comes back in November, as whatever decision we go right away, so
Okay.
they know the message is out there and yeah.
All right,
in
and I think
time.
this ties to the onboard validation. You might have the card. I mean, the nice thing when you go in some of the transit system, I know Metro at DC, you put your card in to get through the turnstile, right? And it would tell you how much you have left on it, the little digital readout. So if you get on the train and then you find out when it's scanned that, oh, you don't have anything or enough for this ride, how do you handle that on board when that's the point at which they're scanned?
Yeah, so today, they would either get a verbal warning, or if they're a repeat offender, they'd get a citation. And actually, the handheld devices do that function today, actually, which is exciting. So they'll scan any ID, and then they'll be able to give that person a verbal warning, and essentially, right, you need to purchase a ticket when you get to the end. And
So you kind of have to know yourself what you've got left on your card, otherwise you're risking an initial verbal warning on, hey, you know, and that, I think that's the only part of it all that you kind of have to be responsible yourself.
yeah, and maybe I think one thing we can work maybe probably with the vendors, maybe the citation device tells the PSR2 pass right too, and then I can say, hey, you have one, just FYI, you got one, 2 trips
Yeah,
left,
and
right?
I
It
think
gets
that's
a
a great
visual,
idea.
yeah,
To
so that's
let
something
them
we
know,
can talk
oh,
about,
you
yeah.
got one right left,
Yep.
and that's it.
Because it's
I
not.
think that's a
instant,
good
yeah.
customer service
Yep.
approach to take on those, because there's no other way for them to actually see that. And I lose track all the time of what's left on the card, so, you know. Okay, I think that's all the questions that I have. And so what you really want is kind of a direction from us as to, I mean, I think what I'm seeing is what I want to be able to see is costs associated with both options too.
Yeah.
So I think that may be the direction that I would like to give. Otherwise, I think staff has the best grasp on what strategy you think you'd like to recommend, as long as the financial side of it is included. Does that make sense?
I agree.
You all good with that? Can I get a motion, since I need to take the action to allow staff to continue to move forward and incorporate the fiscal impact?
Chair Hensley, you don't need to necessarily take the
I
motion,
don't.
you can just give the direction to staff, that's all we're.
That's all you need for this direction. There's your direction.
Perfect.
All right, easy. Thank you very much. Now we're going to a significant item. Ms. Wilson, something time.
Thank you. Next slide. This is an item that's come before you quite a bit, and the background is in the staff report. It is a major project in the downtown Stockton area that would grade separate the two main freight lines. And with that comes a lot of details, a lot of complexities, a lot of phasing, but it would shift the UP line that runs north and south about 180 feet east, because you keep the existing lines in operation while the new flyover structure is built. So it can't be built right on top, which would be ideal, but it doesn't work that way. So project is about 1.4 miles in length. That becomes particularly relevant when you look at the new cost of the project, because a lot of times projects at this scale and cost are distributed. Let's say it's I-5 widening from, Benjamin Holt down to downtown Stockton. So a lot of times these bigger dollar projects run quite a bit of distance. This one is very concentrated. It's got 8 bridge related and several culvert structures. We think of culvert like that little pipe we think of when you're a kid. It's corrugated, about this big, with culverts, as you know, from the box culvert we built in Lathrop, can be massive. And so it has a lot of retaining walls. I will note, because I think it's relevant, all this project is steel and concrete. And Christine, were to show you the steel and concrete cost indices that have gone like this in the post-COVID era, you see where we're at with the project costs. Next slide. So there's been a lot of work since 2020. This project required both CEQA and NEPA approvals. We've had to secure over $400 million, mostly from state sources, but a little bit we've had local contributions, as well as a federal grant from a couple administrations ago. The parcels are all acquired, shows offset, right, running down that 180-foot offset corridor. The agreements for all the utility relocations, which there are a lot, the agreements are in place. The final design specs and estimate are they're in 100% stage, but they're all being scrubbed right now, which is what you do right before you put a bid package together. So those bid documents are estimated to be complete by the end of next month. Next slide. So there is a right-of-way certification deadline. It's a complicated thing. It's more than what it sounds like. But when you have the different state funding grants, this becomes a bit of an issue for a local agency, and it happens even when it's roadway projects, but it's particularly difficult with rail projects, because generally in the Caltrans world, when they deal with a rail project, it might be a railroad that's going over them, or it might be they're going over a rail line. There's a formulaic set of agreements that have to be in place. We have to follow that timeline because the grants require it no matter what. And it doesn't quite work in the way the rail projects go. So these final agreements are usually in place with Caltrans kind of in the middle of the process, maybe early middle. When you do a strict rail project, the railroads will not entertain these agreements because it's on their line, it's their property. They don't entertain them, can't really entertain them until the project is beyond 90% design. So you get these very late in the game, which there's a lot of other entities struggling with this. But the grant deadlines, particularly the trade corridor enhancement program, very strict. And we've gotten, where's Momo, $150-ish million. 132, sorry. $132 million out of that program. So big stake in the game for the Stockton Diamond. and Momo was able to achieve three extensions. So one is usually phenomenal, two is almost unheard of, three is that never happens, but somehow Momo was able to help us make that happen, and it really rallied around how can we get the C&M agreement done, and it's between the railroads and us, between the railroads and Caltrans. It involves some city street crossings, right? And all those pieces don't all come together perfectly, but we have them all. But we don't have them in time for this TSEP deadline. So we knew that was happening. In fact, there's still one between Caltrans and the railroads. Hasn't even been submitted. We can't do anything about that. That's not a, and we push. We've gotten to the highest levels of Caltrans. We've gotten CalSTA, which is the governor's arm of transportation, to try to push. But there's so many third parties that say it's nice you're pushing, but we can't meet your deadline. So we know that right now that money, it's at risk for being allocated as we plan. We have some good news and ideas for you about when that money comes back. But right now we can't get a fourth extension. And so that deadline is going to be missed. And our partners are all aware of this. Next slide. So this is paired with some other challenges that we started realizing. I mean, in a nutshell, it's a mega project. And when you look around the state, you can think, well, what are mega projects? Christine could probably name them, but like the Bay Bridge was one, and that was a kind of a short, we fall into that category. It's a kind of a short mileage, big intensive construction all in one place. And there's just not that many around the state. And then there's even fewer agencies that are capable of delivering them. And it's not so much can you find the money? Momo's team has done a heroic job, but it's more about, let's say, every month the project cost goes up. We can get an estimate, we can go get grants, the railroads find different things that, their labor force went out, the unions have a new bargaining agreement, the signal wire worldwide is now more expensive. So we know to predict, Christine can tell you, you have to predict costs will go up. But the way we're structured is if we find that a cost goes up, we have to find a competitive grant program to go into. And then we have to wait for that grant cycle to happen. And then we ask for that money. And then we can't spitball that we think we need to add on a bunch of that for contingency. They make us do it really tight. What do you know right now? And how much are you asking for? So it's a very constrained funding environment. And a lot of it's how we're structured. We don't have big operating reserve. We're not funded by property taxes, which a lot of the larger, the big like VTA, Muni, BART, and LA Metro. They're the ones delivering projects of this size. That's probably the handful that we have in the state. We don't have anybody in our region, potentially other than Caltrans, that can take this on. So that's the problem of how do you make sure you have enough grant money when you have to wait a year to go get it once you find it, and then you can do that math. You figure out, oh, well, then a year from now when we get it, will we not have enough because it will cost more? And that answer is yes. So that's a fundamental problem with our structure. The other is cash flow. So when this project was, before we knew what the railroads had to do to stay in operation while this is built, we were probably in the range of $300 million for the construction. That was right on the edge of what would be manageable for us in terms of monthly outlay, because we don't have a reserve to dip into. We have to figure out, Ansel Miller has to figure out how to pull all the scraps, make a payment, and then get reimbursed from the state, which can take, sometimes it's taken us 9 months. State's gotten better with that, but we're still not enough. We get it in a month or two, we still could hang out for several months. The diamond could have months because we've done the bell curve for cash flow. It could have months where you're in the 80, 90, and $100 million a month when it's at its peak, and all the materials are coming in, month after month. There's this county of San Joaquin is not going to be able to get, who's our auditor, controller, treasurer. They can't give us that amount of money. Nobody can front us that amount of money, including the state, because it violates some of their statutes, giving it to an agency like ours. I talked with the assistant city manager, was talking just about this the other day. And I was explaining the cash flow, because he said, oh, well, you know, because the city helped, and then I explained what it would mean, and, you know, no, the city couldn't bankroll that either. Nor probably could the county of San Joaquin, because they're not gonna reach into their reserves and say, oh, the project cost went up a little bit, we'll tap our. They would do the same thing, we would go out and get a competitive grant, wait for that cycle, so. One of the things we realized in this at this size, we've got to find a delivery partner that can bankroll it. Everything's ready, right? You can put the shovel in the ground once the Caltrans and BP agreement's done. But someone has to be able to outlay those kind of large dollars. And frankly, this is a statewide project. It's been driven a lot by the state. And we should have put the rail commissioner of this region, even our member partners, in a position to have liabilities like that, with that kind of cash outflow. So we've been talking to the state players about that, probably for 2 months, because we really honed in on this. Next slide. And they agree, this project is critical, right? Your goods movement plan, the climate related plan, all economic development plan, all kinds of things hinge on making sure this project gets done, including us, because we have a lot of skin in the game with this. And we have to make sure someone can take it and deliver it. So the state is now looking for a partner, probably at the state level, that can take the baton and deliver this. And then they will be able, Momo's worked this out with the state funding players. They will be able to go back and re-ask for the grant that we're gonna put back in the reserve pot for the state fund. So they'll be able to come back and get that money. They're also looking for an agency that would have enough of a spigot that could, if the price of wire goes up, for instance, they would have a annual funding pot to go into immediately and find that funding, which a local agency just wouldn't have that. So while we looked at another local agency bigger than us to look at this, it looks like it would still pose some risk. So CalSTA, Governor's Arm for Transportation, they are committed. They would like to see the Valley Rail Program delivered first, or get that in motion and not jeopardize the cash flow that the commission has available for that, because the diamond would jeopardize that. So they want to make sure we push that. They will take on the role to figure out how this gets delivered with our help, because we have a lot of help offered, and we're not gonna walk away from it. But they've got to find somebody that they can switch. So the railroad agreements are done, they would switch to the new delivery partner. The utility agreements are done. We are exploring right now whether it's advantageous to do some of the utility work, because that scale of cost, we can cash flow, and if it helps the construction to do that, we will probably take that on. But the team is looking at that right now. What makes sense, what makes it easier for the ultimate contractor to come in, and what maybe could be done better when the contractor mobilized. So we are looking at those things. So we have an answer, but we wanted to tell you, just for the sake of how we're structured, that we are gonna have to find a state partner to deliver this. And we have talked to all of our stakeholders about that. So they're aware. In fact, Chad had an idea. Well, let's form a little coalition of all the partners to go together and work with the state about how do we hand this off, who gets it and when. I thought that was a really good idea. So we'll be exploring that in the state. So you have a group representing us locally, saying, how do we make sure this stays on the map? Next slide, I think that's. Yeah.
Okay, do we have any public comment?
Seeing none online.
And in the room? Okay, questions, comments from commission members? Yes, please.
So, at our last council meeting, the city of Stockton, we approved, for the streets that will be, ended, or.
Yes.
And then, we had a conversation just yesterday about Norman Slough. And how we're gonna proceed with that, not just the little section that the rail, the Diamond Project will be part of, but in its entirety. because it is such a challenge. And I know that part of the Diamond Project, I remember we used the word, displacement, of the residents in that area. But us being collaborative, working collaboratively, not just with the city, but at higher levels, because we're talking about the department, of water resources even, because of the future of that area. But whatever we can do on our end, and that's why, Chad is a part of this, but using, I would say, all the collective that we have here on the board to tap into the people, that we know, if it's Assemblymember Ransom or Senator McNerney or anybody like that, just to make sure that we are making the progress necessary and tapping into those dollars. And then I would say, on all of our projects, we have a contingency fund. And I don't know if there could be a state held contingency fund specifically for this project, so the money doesn't necessarily come out right away, but in terms of meeting cash flow, that it was there kind of like a home equity line of credit or something like that. I don't know how that all works, but just in thinking forward on that, if we could be doing.
A couple thoughts. I think we've more than satisfied our commitment under the agreement to design the project. I think we've had this discussion before about it's quiet on the implementation side of it, but that's, where we really are. I think one of the big challenges is the 90% design plans. That is something that's we know in dealing with UP, that's a requirement, but some of the stuff is just not aligning with our obviously very necessary funding that we have to have. And the fact we've gotten 3 extensions is pretty remarkable, and I commend your staff for making the case for that. But yeah, the costs go up, and it's not just annually, it's monthly.
It's kind of.
And what we anticipated to be a cost however many years ago, yeah, we're all dealing with that as agencies. I have yet to see a project that we've done that approved that 12 months later, we didn't have to, do additional budget for additional costs. So I understand that. I think we've done all we can. I think that the partner on the state agency side is interesting because I think it has an impact on a number of state agencies. So maybe it's more in line with a collaborative consortium of agencies that are going to form some type of, you were just talking about, what is the collaborative that has to be, say, we're going to put this much money in, we're going to put this much money in, everything from what would be a equivalent of the General Services Administration to Commerce to Public Works to whatever it would be at a state level. They all have Public Utility Commission. I mean, when I think about all the things we have to go through for our projects and all the key players, that's the same thing at the state level. So I think we're at a point, we've done what we can do. We have to turn it back to the state and say now, to proceed with what everyone recognizes as an essential component of all the other projects that need to flow out here. This is what needs to happen, and I am at the point where I can't see us spending so much more staff time on this because we have so many other projects that we have to keep moving forward. And I think that's the essential element, Stacy, in the prior slide when you talk about reallocating some funding. I think we're gonna have to do that, because that puts the onus on our partners to really sit down and get us figure out, make this work out. So that's just kind of my response. But thank you, we shot for that. Okay, that's it. Then we will move. Item 8, we call for future consideration at a date. So moving on to item 9, Mr. Cutt.
All right, good morning, commissioners.
Good morning.
And again, I apologize, I'm not here for the fun kind of visuals that usually go part and parcel with a lot of our passenger experience marketing updates. However, I do have something just to, kind of dig into, and this is really just to give some background. So this is an information item. So you're probably all familiar with, whenever you visit one of our stations, you'll see that there is a passenger information display, or PIDs as we call them, essentially letting us know when trains are going to be arriving, departing, if there's any type of service disruptions. And of course, to be able to give a visual and also audio cue to passengers so they know what to expect during their trip. And so now we're going to go ahead and step back into the Wayback Machine, as Mr. LaPerry likes to call it. And really, I wish I could have dug up the archive of the board meeting where some of this came up, because two of you were here for that. But essentially back in 2004, that's when these PIDs were installed at the ACE stations. And so quite a long time ago. And at that time, Amtrak, they were responsible for the maintenance and the operations. And that agreement was to go through 2019. Well, we needed to kind of plan, well, what's the next phase? We all knew, because these PIDs were purchased and installed around the same time as Capitol Corridor and the San Joaquins. So we're all in this situation where we have aging equipment. And so CCJPA said, we'll pick up the baton. We're going to go ahead and do the research, manage this project, and be able to roll out Cal PIDs. And so essentially it's a different program, but essentially they would keep the legacy PIDs going as well. So that way Amtrak could relinquish their responsibilities, and then CCJPA would bring Cal PIDs into fruition. And so with that, this project was anticipated to go more or less about 18 months from the time that, the real work got started. And one of the first steps that they had to do was to onboard some technical support to be able to help design what this was going to look like. So that was then. And essentially where, I kind of want to give you a little bit of background. It's just the Cal PIDs and what differentiates it a little bit as far as the scope that CCJPA designed with the support of the other agencies. And so essentially they were responsible for coming up with the design, for the full network of all the PIDs, the hardware, the technology to support it. They also wanted to pursue a custom developed software to be able to help with the administration of the PID service from both the operational side, but also it could feed into a mobile solution as well, where passengers could get that information online. And, there are some off-the-shelf alternatives when it comes to the software design, but they wanted to come up with something that was going to ideally work for all of any of the transportation agencies in California that wanted to use it. So that was, kind of the project goal and overview at that time. And so, from time to time, I think it's important that we also come back to you and give you some updates on just where these type of operational projects are at the, current state. And so really what we've seen over the years is just a lot of delays. We thought that, again, this was going to be a project that was wrapped up in about 18 months. We've definitely surpassed that time. Why have we done that? There's been issues, of course, COVID, but there were some procurement issues, even trying to cost some of this out and trying to engage Amtrak for some of the, public works work that needed to be done. So on and on and on. We've seen a lot of challenges with this. And currently we're at the point where Capitol Corridor feels that their stations will be completed by the end of 2026. And so after that, then the ACE stations would get their kind of timeline introduced. And so at this point, we don't have a date for delivery for our stations. And what that means is it starts to put us in a bit of a compromised position, because the legacy PIDs, they're like the validators that Dick talked about, they're nearing the end of useful life. And at some point, we might be in a position where we're no longer really compliant with what passengers need, and especially from an ADA perspective. And so we're definitely, we've been working with Capitol Corridor, various team members have been very engaged with them to try to just figure out what we can do to move things forward. And so it's not as if we're completely hands off, but, they are the lead, but we definitely want to make sure that what they've committed to, that they, would deliver. And I think, kind of just where we're at now is that we kind of have to maybe think, okay, do we just, steer the course as we are today, and just, really work with CCJPA to deliver Cal PIDs as they've scoped it out and designed it. Now, some advantage to that would be, of course, we'd all be using kind of the same system, there'd be alignment. But, one of the challenges is this is gonna still be a multi-year project, much longer than what we anticipated. And there's even some risks there because this is a custom solution that, some of the technology decisions that are made today or that were made a few years ago may not be relevant by the time they actually reach our passengers on the platform. So, we've been discussing internally, well, what else could we do? What are, some other alternatives? And that could look like, well, perhaps we do pursue a tailored solution that works for our services today, as well as be kind of the blueprint for what we use for Valley Rail. And another advantage would be, okay, now we have something that we can play with today, again, to make sure that what we are building for the future actually meets the needs and there's some cohesion there. The only thing that, we would maybe consider is, well, we've already gone through this exercise of the signage and wayfinding program. We've gotten approvals. We've come up with the plan and budget to be able to install signage, new signage at stations and have everything updated with the whole Valley Rail look and feel. As we kind of talk about this, really, though it's technology based, the passenger information display signs, really the other static signage, that's all related to passengers being able to understand how to make decisions about their journey. And so it might make more sense and be more efficient if we bundled all of that together. So that way everything is moving kind of lockstep. The only disadvantage that we can really see right now at this time would be that, overall the signage and wayfinding implementation would be delayed. And so right now, what we wanted to do was just make sure that all the commissioners had enough background on where we're at. So that way, as staff can come back and evaluate, just what makes the most sense, that we might be able to come back with an action item and get some direction from the commissioners. And with that, I will take any questions.
Any questions from the public comment side?
Seeing none online?
Any in the room? Any from commission members? I appreciate the presentation and it seems to me that, can you go back to the, choices again? Okay, you're gonna return with recommendations at the next meeting and sometimes the independence is a nice thing to have. That's all I'll say to that because it's nice when we can control our future and we have so many instances when we can't. And fortunately, and this may be one of the few ones that we can't. So I think that does factor into the consideration. If it's a little bit delayed, it's already been delayed. So, how much more delay, we can stomach, and I think we can. So if again, it always comes back to me, if we have more control, we can spend money if when we need to spend it and make those choices and be more the project. So that's the only comment. So thank you, Mr. Cook.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, now we are on to item 10. And I do believe that that is one of the reasons that everyone is here today. One of the many, but at the same time, it's probably important to the commission members. And
Chair.
I was gonna say, I was gonna ask Ms. Fagati if she could.
I do have to depart, so I apologize for that, but, thank you doesn't seem like enough. The vision that you had, what we've seen come to fruition under your leadership, I think is second to none. I mean, we've had other people from other agencies that have come and gone, but you have stayed true to the mission of providing reliable, safe transportation for people here, in this area and along the way into the Bay Area. And having been a writer myself, over doing that awful commute that would get me just angry and stressed out as I got to my destination, which was totally unnecessary, to creating a family kind of on board, people that looked out for me and woke me up and said, we're at your stop. But that wouldn't be possible without your leadership. None of the people in this room who work here would be possible without your leadership. And so I just want to extend my gratitude towards you, for everybody that's here. And the future that we have is resting on your shoulders. And we are all standing up on them to make it come to life. So thank you very much. You know, we know this isn't goodbye. And we're glad that you're sticking around to help us in this transition. But much appreciated. You are a true warrior. You are a bad ASS. I'm very excited to say it because it said it's in the Bible. It says Jack ASS in the Bible, so you can say that. But you know, others, you have created a pathway for others to follow in your footsteps. And that is something that not many people can say. So thank you. Well, thank you. So, and I can thank you.
So thank you, Mr. Crosby, I appreciate that. So, I know we have a presentation to give. I'm just gonna echo some of the comments that we just heard, because I think one of the key things that you demonstrated to me with my short tenure here on the commission is the ability and the willingness and the passion to actually collaborate. You are an individual who understands leadership of other agencies. You try to bring together all of those key organization leaders that need to cooperate together to make things happen, not just for Rail Commission, but for us as the larger community, you know. And that comes from first and foremost your concern for your riders, your customers, and secondly, the concern for your staff. And I think those two things go hand in hand. It's what gets you the respect that you have, not just from your customers, but from those of us who serve in the various leadership roles in our municipalities. And as we heard from just even Mr. Birnbaum, who gets to say a few things today, because I actually from your ridership and partners that are outside of the county, partners at the state and federal level. I think that is something that you've built over the past 30 years that has made ACE and Valley Rail successful, and will continue, as Christina said, to create that foundation, that legacy that we are all tasked to build upon. And a new CEO will again also have very difficult shoes to fill, but you've established a baseline, and that's really important for us to go to the next level. Strong and trusted, capable, ability to work with others, all that stuff. You know, you don't even need a letter of reference. I mean, you know, at this point, you can give us away because we want to ensure that people understand that much of what it is that who we are and what we do has been contributed directly from you and what you said as that level of excellence that we need to be. So just my thanks on that. I know we have a lovely presentation that I don't know if Mr. Lucar.
Is it modern interpretive dance?
I'm gonna change my costume.
My favorite.
The ACE train began with its very first passenger service back in 1998. And since then, a lot has changed. But we've always done it for one reason: our riders. And there's one rare person that has worked tirelessly to make sure every rider gets where they need to go. Stacy. Stacy's been with the San Joaquin Regional Rail Commission for 27 years. This was when she first started. And since then, there's been a lot of big changes. From just 2 weekday round trips to 4. A rebrand and an $82 million maintenance facility in Stockton. Stacy helped secure funding for passenger-focused operations, expansions, and improvements.
She built the workplace. Really, we are fortunate to have the quality and the professionalism of the staff that we currently have, whether it's in operations, in management, in basically capital expenditures, capital needs of the rail, engineering. She built it. And I think that is the important legacy that she leaves to not just the Rail Commission or Valley Rail or ACE, but to the thousands and thousands of commuters that rely on rail to get to their destinations, their workplaces, and in turn back home to their families.
When I first came on board, we were the ACE program. Our train started in Stockton, went to the Bay Area, and then started in the Bay Area and brought the people back to the valley. Now, we're looking at a system that's going to operate from as far south as Merced to as far north as some people have their way, Chico. She's the reason we're doing this.
So after decades of you being in charge and giving us your sage advice, it's finally time for us to do the same.
This is the time to really reflect back on the success that you've achieved in working for the Rail Commission, working on Valley Rail and ACE, and just enjoy and spend some time with friends and family doing what you need to do for yourself.
I guess what I would say is retirement is everything it's cracked up to be. You should, all those things that you thought you would be able to do, there is now no reason that you can't.
But most of all, we want to say thank you.
Thank you for putting rail commuters first in your priorities. I respect the fact that it's your end user, it's your customer, it's that family, that individual worker that you have put first. And we benefit, that is San Joaquin County, and all of our rail users benefit from you prioritizing them.
Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for everything that we have worked together on, things that you have done, not just for ACE, but for the community. Thanks for all of it, and I wish you all the best.
I know there's a presentation that,
This is like from all of the executive staff. And like, we want to say thank you, like you've been like our fearless leader, like all throughout all of the years. Thank you, Stacey. You've been our fearless leader. I can speak for myself, I'm all from the executive staff and the rest of the staff. It's your passion. It's the vision that you told us in all of our interviews that made us want to come and to work for you and to work with you and to see all of the great things that you told us like come to life. And in my time in here and all of our times here, we have seen those things go from an idea or a kernel of an idea to reality. We're gonna miss you, right? We're gonna miss like coming into this room and like fighting together to like make what's best for the community. And we're thankful that you'll still be here, like, you know, like for a time, but we cannot say enough like how much you mean to us, not just as workers, but as people. But you see us like as human beings, like you have value, not just what we can produce. And we wish you all of the luck. And as Leo said, you have no excuses to not do the things that you want to do. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing all of the pictures of all the amazing things that you do, like in your retirement. And we're from all of us, thank you. And we're like always going to be indebted to you for all that you've done. And we pledge to you to carry on your legacy as best we can. Yeah.
can I have all the staff stand up, because I didn't want those staff in the room to, yeah, thank you, because I think this is really important, that this congratulations comes from the staff even more so than from the rest. So, thank you all as staff for carrying on her legacy, because we are gonna leave it with you and David, over the next, year or so as we transition to, some new leadership. So thank you all. And Stacey, thank you for giving them the necessary skills and training and opportunities
do it less, so it'll get on you.
I do know we have some people here who would like to share their comments and thoughts with you as we look at this transition, so because you filled out a card, Mr. Bennington, you may go first, sorry.
Thank you, Chair Lisa Craig, Hensley, and Commissioners. Michael Barnbaum again from Sacramento County. Stacy and I go back quite many years. I remember and recall when we were in rooms throughout the Valley corridor. And it was then the San Joaquin Joint Powers Authority did not exist back in the day. And we were just sitting in a room where everyone was part of the San Joaquin Valley Rail Committee. We recall working with names like Steve Tinker, Steve Miller, Bill Bronte, Isla Collin, Cam Beach, Chris Seifert, and countless other people. Many of these folks were Caltrans folks or folks appointed by the counties along the corridor. And it even stretched to have members from Los Angeles County as well. Something which I know the Joint Powers Authority does not include that county for representation on the board since it was formed. We would always sit next to each other at the table, rectangular, round, or wherever. You know, we would have even, gosh, I remember going to Hanford or Fresno where we would have scheduled up to a 4-hour meeting to take care of a lot of business on the agenda. And everything was very, very productive. And then we learned about the legislation from, I think it was first in Solano County, I think it was Tom Hannigan. And then legislation by then Kathleen Galgiani. And so the JPAs around the state formed. And so there's a lot of history back behind it. And I just remember being a part of that. Stacy was there all the time to follow through with it and then, you know, become the executive director, not just of the Rail Commission, but also the JPA and selection of a staffing agency to be this agency for the JPA and the Rail Commission overseeing the JPA. It was just a lot of involvement and a lot of history built in leading up to today. And while, you know, this is the time for her retirement, I'm very pleased in having a conversation with her before the meeting and listening to the presentation on the Stockton Diamond. It's so great to have a voice of expertise like Stacy remain as an annuitant and as a consultant to this group and assist in the transition. I felt reading agendas of both this commission and the JPA this month and in just recent months past, you've selected the best candidate in my mind. If there was a panel at a table to carry all of this projects and service going forward. So I want to speak to that as we transition. David, I've known you a long time through this commission and the JPA. You've been a great leader of the marketing team, and your knowledge and expertise of everything surrounding what the agency has to go through and carrying on that tradition. I really hope interim is removed and that you are the chief executive officer as of January 1st going forward. I think that this team needs a leader like yourself. You have what I hope is the next chief marketing officer, Marquise Cook, who brings the expertise from the Capital Corridor Joint Powers Authority to this group and has that liaison communication between the two to bring the expertise that would leave in your absence of not being the chief marketing officer, but becoming the chief executive officer. And I think that we're in good hands transitioning from Executive Director Mortensen to Chief Executive Officer LaPerry. And I really hope to rejoin the JPA next year in the room, regardless of where the meetings are, with the additional days I get off in my 5th year at the agency I currently work at.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Your comments are very appreciated. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Are there any other individuals that may? Yes. So I'm accustomed to seeing you as leisure wear. I
I will be brief. My years of practice, one of the biggest things we always looked at was, what is the history of the organization? And you'd always have to go and look through books or things like that. You have had history here every day for over 30 years. That's incredibly valuable. And I know you're all sad that she's finally going to be moving on. I, for one, am delighted. Stacy and I are friends, and I retired 2 years ago. And I am so sick and tired of saying, let's go cycle or let's go hiking. We have the blah, blah, blah meeting. Well, I'm glad that you're finally free of that. And I know that it's going to be a difficult transition from stepping off of the employment train, but we are there to help you. The retirement train, and we're going to have both. And to David, I'm finishing up David McCullough's book on Harry Truman. And I'm reminded of when Franklin Roosevelt, who was a giant of a president, suddenly died, and Harry Truman found himself standing there in those shoes. And I will pass on what a senator did to Truman to you. Do not try to be Stacey Mortensen, be David LaPerry, and you will be successful. Thank you.
Very young. Thank you very much, Nancy, for doing it. So it's wonderful to see you.
Well, thank you. When I was a chair, I was mayor of Tracy, but now we have our very mayor. It's all good. It's all good. I'm a mayor emeritus, whatever I am. And former mayor Brent Ives, he started out here as well. I was talking to him the other day, and so I've already spoken to Stacey privately and publicly before I left the end of last year. Just talking about the phenomenal woman that she is, and just multi-talented. And when she first brought it up to us, last year, your thought to retire, and turn it over. You felt that it was time to pass it on to someone else who can take it to another level. I'm like, I don't know who can take it to another level, because this is your baby from the beginning. It's kind of like trying to pass off one of my kids to, well, some of them are married now, but all my kids are grown, thank God, but and they can go on to another level, become their own parents and have their own children, as some do. But it's still never going to be the same. But the thing is that it's the foundation, the very strong foundation that you've built here. And as I've said in the past, all the staff is really a reflection. It's a reflection of who you are, just like my kids when they do stuff like that's your daddy's kid. Good stuff that came from me. So the thing is that, when I sat on the dais there, I really respected the staff, and I really looked to this staff as a really foundation for how staff should be. And so when it seemed like the staff, even in my city, was so discombobulated or whatever, I just felt that this staff had it together and had already premeditated the different questions and things that we could ask. And was always very, very well prepared to be able to give that extra information. And it's just a presentation. So it has a lot to do with leadership and to be able to bring in the camaraderie and the creativity, to be able to welcome that, to see the need for not only the transportation for the passengers, but how do we build in something else to this system that helps bring in leaders, to help develop leaders, and then the Rail Academy and all the other functions, and being able to be on the board for the San Joaquins also was just very, very instrumental for me as well. But it goes back to when I first got elected in 2012, and you approached me, I think it was Andy Chesley too, approached me about my consideration for transportation, and I was already on SACOG for SJCOG, and it just developed a love and transportation for me over the entire time that I was on the council. And so, but when I first met you, I'm like, who is this woman? I'm like, how she even know me? But I'm thankful for all the things that you've really deposited into me over the time of leadership, and it's just a wonderful thing to be able to see it to come from full fruition and to be able to enjoy time when you're still healthy and happy and strong, where you only can go off and do the ski, whatever you want to do, just have fun and interpret dance is what I do. So I prayed at church one time or whenever I am doing a praise dance. I started that. I'm the godmother back in 1981. I was the first one. I didn't see nobody else to interpret this dance before me. So just put that in your mind. So anyways, I just want to just say congratulations. I'm glad that you can have the step, because I'm not there. So you all can enjoy Mr. Boombox himself. His voice is incomparable to anybody. You can just walk on the school grounds and be like, time to go to class, we don't have to blow whistle, nothing. I mean, it was just come out so loudly. So I mean, I need him for when there's no microphone. But I mean, actually, Mr. Bomb, given that the recommendation, I mean, I heard his voice over the airways, even somewhat SJCOG back in like 2013, not SJCOG, but SACOG when I first joined that. I mean, so he's just been a staple voice of reason and thoughtfulness. And so I appreciate even your recommendations and things and in your observations of the things. So I know that David, you would do well. And as was already said, be you, can't be Stacy, but you can be the best you as the rest of the team. And I appreciate you all. Love you. And I will draw it back.
I'm sure we have other things to say. If anybody else want to say anything else, we can move on. If not, I'll move to, I was gonna say, I'll move to the person.
Sure. Well, Stacy, our time together has been short, but I just want you to know that, for me, having grown up in Tracy, I consider ACE such a vital lifeline for our community. As I've said before, I was there the day that ACE came to Tracy. And when I think of leaders like Nancy and Brent Ives, and those are the folks who, I look up to as like the mayor. I still can't believe that I'm the mayor. But I just want you to know that there are so few times in our lives where we get to see the legacy that we get to leave behind and the impact that we get to have in humans. And you're in the business of regular infrastructure, but the human infrastructure. And that is something that you have brought to the table that I've been able to see in these past 9 months. But I just want you to know that something that was such a core memory for me as a kid, and it is so vital for my constituents, you were the backbone. And so I really want to appreciate you, because there are so many people behind the scenes that change our lives, and you have changed the lives in Tracy. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Leo, anything else to say?
I don't think he can top that video.
I know, I think the video was pretty good, and I think.
Poor retake. Now, for me, the thing that I would say is this room right here says everything that I would want to say to you. The fact that they're all here and I know how they feel about you, because most of them at one time or another have said it to me. And thank you for
everything you've done, and I mean it. Retirement is everything it's cracked up to be. I expect you to take advantage of it. Thank you.
Understood.
Any other commissioners? Okay, not hearing Mr. Norwood. I kind of, unless there's, looking at moving on to item 11.
Well, can I just say?
Oh, sorry.
You don't have to do that. 5 o'clock. It's 5 o'clock.
It's executive director's.
Well, and this, I'll just blur it into this. And I've expressed how I feel about the staff, so I'm not going to do that because you know why. But I do want to say, we've been blessed with board members. You really roll up your sleeves with us. And as you know, as we talked about, this program is so complicated, it's grown to be so much. But people compliment the relationship that we have, and not just with me. You've been able to experience the depth of the staff yourself. And a lot of agencies don't like to do that. But I've always wanted you to know that you can go here, you can go there, and get what you need and get different perspectives. Because like one perspective, even if I'm trying to reflect the staff voice, that's not as good as when you have some direct time to strategize. And for the staff to pick your brain, not through me, but directly with you, the different experience you have in your lives, that helps our staff professionally, just getting that perspective. So I want to thank you for that, because there's a lot of other boards and it's a stiff kind of relationship. And it's not lack of respect. We respect and adore you, but we want to have access to you also kind of on that one. So thank you for that. I do want to thank what used to be Herzog. It's probably one of the best strategic moves we ever made. When Brian and I were kids, and no, I forgot to do that. I know what you've done in that.
I got the name of the forum.
Oh, you got it. Yeah. Okay. Because Brian closely knows a lot. But out here in 1997, which is when we hired our first contractor, there was only Amtrak. That was it. And so to entertain a different operator at the time, especially when we were 30, and people were wondering, well, do these kids know what they're doing? But we got the sense that it would be a partnership. We looked around the state and the country. There were only 22 services at that time. And it was a combative relationship. Everybody warned us, you gotta fight your contractor and you gotta stick it to them. And we thought, yeah, we're gonna do that. But the truth is, we found a partner in Herzog, who's now Cassie. And it's because it was a partnership and not a combative relationship, we went so much further. So I do want to thank you for that, the original crew, the now crew, raise your hands just so in case John and JP, everybody can see you. That partnership has really helped take us where we are. I did at the GPA board meeting, I didn't have time to mention, but I want to. I want to call out Dan Levitt, because I don't know if we could have pulled off the San Joaquin Joint Powers Authority without him. That was such a big lift with so many counties. It's really hard. You picture 10 of those counties, there's not a lot in common, except they had the love for the San Joaquins and wanted to grow that service. And then they developed a real collegial love of each other. Really, that group likes working together, really enjoy. And even when problems come up, you see them dig in. And so just thank you, Dan. I think you're on. Because yeah, I don't think we have it without him. So you've given a lot of accolades to me, but I gotta make sure, people get recognized. And thank you to Dan and Emily Humphreys, former staffer, very good friend, and former mayor, for coming out to support. I feel like together we've built muscles. Doesn't mean we're not gonna have challenges, but what we've done is we build muscles with the board, with the staff, that we can do the hard things. And we have some hard things in our region right now. Some things are hard, but I feel like we we've got this because we kind of work, we do the push-ups, whatever, intellectual strategy push-up versions. But we're ready, so we'll be fine, even for the hard things. So thank you so much for your support and this lovely day. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Stacy. We appreciate you and you heard that from us and continue to hear it, no doubt, for the next month or so.
Oh, thank you.
Any board member comments on anything outside of Stacy?
I have one thing.
Yes, sir.
Last Sunday, we had events to start off the special trainings. There were 49ers. And I don't know if I was volunteered or coerced or what.
We call that voluntold.
But I went to the event that was at the Latham station. Nick Perez was there too, and A, it was a lot of fun. B, there were a lot of people. And at one point, we had to have a representative, and Nick stepped forward as our representative for the trains and did an outstanding job, as well as the rest of the staff that was there. But it was a good event, and as a guy who's ridden that train a few times, it was fun to talk to people. And there were people there who'd never done it before, which was interesting, and we're there for a variety of reasons, but it was a fun event, and I think the word has spread just a little farther. That we do have these trains to get people over for coordinator. So, yes, thank you very much, and it was good times.
Appreciate that. Now, we can move to our ex officio members who are online with us. So, Mayor Wallen, would you like to start off?
Yes, I would. Stacy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. I have a very brief statement, but throughout my life, I've listened closely and learned from the people that I would like to model. And certainly since being the mayor of Modesto, you are one. I appreciate you and I appreciate your service, Stacy. You are an incredible woman and a human being that I've learned so much from. Thank you again so much, Stacy, and welcome, David. And that's it.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Baxter.
Thank you. Well, I have two quick items for RTD, but before I dive into that, I just want to say rail has always been special to me. I worked for Santa Fe Railroad back in 1978, and I was involved with hiring the consultant for the state rail plan many decades ago when I worked for Caltrans. And I'm saying all that because I've always been cognizant and aware of Ace and Stacy before she probably ever met me. And I spent 17 years as a deputy director in District 10. And Stacy, I just feel you're a peer, you're a friend. I've always admired you. I've always looked up to your leadership. I still learn, even at my young age, I still learn. And I just want to say before everybody, you're the best. And I mean that from my heart. And I just want to say thank you for everything you've done for rail, both for commuter and intercity with the San Joaquins, everything you've done for our community. I have granddaughters here, ages from about 3 months to 7 here in Stockton. And hopefully they'll be riding the trains soon. And you've left a wonderful legacy. And everybody said everything I could possibly say, but thank you for everything you've done. And David, congratulations to you. And I really admire you and I look up to your leadership as well as we all do. I had some things here to say. I'm just going to make it very short. I just want to say that RTD, we did host August the 21st, our annual Employee Appreciation Day. That's very important to us. They're the team that keep us going every day. And on that day, we celebrated our 60th anniversary of public service in our community. And then my last item here, I'll shorten this up to, that we recently released 2 new videos about real writers and real impact series. They're on our website. I would encourage you to look at those. One of the videos is from Joni Bauer. She's the orientation and mobility specialist at the Community Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired, who explains in her video how RTD helps individuals with vision loss to help them travel more independently and to be successful. And the second video features Orlando Monleo. He's a children's book author and he's a hip hop artist here locally. And he's from Brooklyn, New York, but he has an awesome message to share about the importance of public transit. And we're doing this really to kind of shift the public perception from transit in a more positive area and to expand RTD's reach of organic and rider-driven type promotion testimonials. So with that, I'm going to stop. I've shortened this up. And again, you know, I tried retirement and it didn't quite work for me. So however, I better be careful here because the momentum is complete retirement. So I wish you the very best with Godspeed. Thank you.
We have okay, thank you. It's here you go. Request comments, SJRRC.
Yes, thank you very much. Kim Anderson, sitting in for Diane Nguyen today. I have one very quick announcement. SJCOG staff will be out in the city of Lodi for the Lodi Street Fair to talk about the regional transportation plan this weekend. Certainly looking forward to that. And Diane sends her sincere regrets at not being able to be here today. But I will say, both personally and on behalf of SJCOG, it's unusual to find a leader who is at the same time humble, pragmatic, and innovative. But Stacy, you found a way to do that. It has been a joy working with you, and it's been ever since I came to SJCOG in 2007. But of course, your legacy goes back certainly before me. And, you know, again, on behalf of former and current staff, congratulations on this milestone. And we are certainly looking forward to seeing what the future holds next and what your next chapter will be. So on that, I'll say thank you very much.
No, okay, thanks. All right. Thank you very much to all. And do we have kind of that final executive director's report?
I've said all I can say. That's all I need to say.
So at this point in time, what I would do is dismiss us to a closed session. Madam Attorney, would you like to read the item into?
Thank you, Director Kinsley. Yes, we have two items of closed session. Item 14 is public employment recruitment. That is one position for the executive director, chief executive officer position. Pursuant to government code section 54957. We do not have our recruiter Greg Moser here today, but Vice Chair Lena Sewer will be filling in. Item 15 is threatened or anticipated litigation pursuant to government code section 54956.9 subsection D2. One case conference with legal counsel regarding a claim filed by Stronghold Engineering alleging monetary claims, and this is regarding the project that is known as the Regional Rail Maintenance Facility Expansion. And with that, we are adjourned to closed session.
I want to, well, not really, I want to. You want to? They're far away from me, yeah. Covering my little lip and pizza. Oh, yeah. We gotta leave. We gotta go. Come on now. Yeah.
We don't have another meeting.
I know. And,
You have trained me on that, Jackie. What do I do?
Stop at one. As we, of course.
Well,
It's only one item. Yeah, that's right. One open, one closed.
What's the play?
So.
Trash, right?
Oh, thank you, dear. That's so sweet. All right, we should be. We could probably go.
Okay. Yes.
Pretty fast.
I think that
The presentation.
go quickly through the open session. items,
Okay.
and then-
Yeah.
and then we can-
Yeah, okay. Are we done? We go back?
It's 30 seconds, please.
Okay, we're putting an open session, closed session, council, would you please do a debrief?
I shall, closed session, the first item, the public employment recruitment item, that was discussion only, there's no other reportable action. Closed session item number 2, which is agenda item 15, the anticipated litigation. That item was discussion, direction was given by the commission, and at this time, there was no other reportable action.
Seeing nothing else but adjournment on the schedule till November 7th, 2025 at 9:30 a.m. It's 86 adjourned. All right, thank you.